Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the London Business School LGBT webinar. My name is Peter Johnson, and I'm the Senior Admissions Manager for the Masters in Finance at LBS. In 1996, I was one of the founders of the school's LGBT network, and I'm the staff sponsor for the Out in Business Club. So I take great pride in introducing this webinar, our first for an LGBT audience. Diversity and respect are at the core of London Business School's identity. They're part of our DNA. Our main speaker this morning is Thomas Artus, one of the co-presidents of Out in Business. So I'm now handing you over to Thomas.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for attending the webinar. So, as Peter said, my name is Thomas Artus. I'm an MBA 2015. And first of all, I would actually like to introduce everybody that is present at the moment and that will be available to answer your questions. So, second picture is me. The third picture, you will see Jonathan Lujan, who is an MBA 2015 candidate. Then you have Kirsten Zwerina, who is a Sloan 2015. And finally, you also have Daniel Aragon, who is a Masters in Finance 2015. I'll quickly run you through the agenda. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience of being LGBT at LBS. Then I will give an overview of the Out in Business Club. I will present you the Euro-Out conference, which is our main event. It's one of the flagship events of London Business School. I'm going to talk about being LGBT in London very briefly, and then we will start our Q&A session around 11:30 or in half an hour. Being LGBT at LBS, I think the best way to give an idea is to actually give you to describe my personal experience. So a bit about me. Before coming to LBS, I worked in oil and gas and in consulting, and I never was out in any professional context. Also, never at university. I was out, or I was also never affiliated with any LGBT organization. And I think the most important reason for that is that there were no clear role models in my company. There were no real support networks for LGBT people, and I think that was, and maybe I was lacking a bit of courage to be out at the workplace. And this completely changed actually when I came to LBS, and it already started changing the first time I met people. I met prospective students, and I met people that were running the Out in Business Club, the LGBT club at London Business School, during AdMits Weekend. So AdMits Weekend is one of the first events of the year to welcome new incoming students. And so on one of those, during AdMits Weekend, we met the Out in Business Club. We also met a couple of company representatives, some alumni in a very small group, so it was also in a very safe environment. But that already gave me the idea that I could be very successful at LBS, but also in my future career by being out. And in the first week of the program, I also decided to out myself to my study group, which went extremely smooth. So it was a very, very positive experience for me. And I actually think that this story of being out for the first time in a professional environment is quite representative for a couple of LBS people. So it seems that LBS is really a safe environment where people feel that it's safe to be out. Why is that? Or the best explanation for that, I think it's mainly due to the environment that is created by the school, because the school focuses on diversity. It's also created by the staff and professors who are openly out, also created by the Out in Business Club. Also, the City of London is also a great city. It's very LGBT friendly. And finally, this environment is also created by the students who choose to come to London Business School. often because they like the diversity focus of the school. So I'm going to talk now about the Out in Business Club, the LGBT club of London Business School. So first, I'll talk a bit about our mission statement and give you some facts and figures. So our mission is threefold. So first, it's to serve as a professional networking resource for members. Second, it's to promote greater social interaction among members. And third, to foster a more accepting environment for gays, lesbians, bisexuals, and transgenders within the school and the business community. Some of the facts and figures. So the club was founded in 1996, and we currently have more than 300 members. Those members are not all current students. Let's say that about 50 people are actually on a daily basis in school. So it's, let's say, 40 students and maybe 10 professors, staff, etc. And then the rest are mainly alumni, but could also be, let's say, friends of the club. So could be people that are at other business schools, or sometimes even sponsors or corporate partners. So now I want to talk a little bit about all the activities that we organize. So we have a social part, there is also a professional part, and there is a community part. So I'm going to start with the social part, just to give you a couple of examples what we do. So there is the quarterly social drinks. That is just a gathering with the club where sometimes we invite other business schools, we invite alumni, we sometimes invite our professional contacts, and it's actually a way to just catch up. Then something that we started last year is to organize an event around the Eurovision Song Contest. I know it's a very European thing, so if you're not from Europe, I would advise you to take a look on Google, check the Eurovision Song Contest, and you will perfectly understand why we created an event around Eurovision. So this is a second thing that we organized. A third thing we did last year is we watched the London Gay Pride from the McKinsey offices. So that is more like the fun aspect and more social aspect. But then there is also a very important professional dimension in which or the goal for that is really to make sure that all our club members maximize their chances to get a really good internship or to find a full-time job at one of the best employers in the world. So first of all, we organize separate LGBT events with the main consulting companies such as BCG, Bain, and McKinsey. So this could be a cocktail, for instance, in their offices where we meet the LGBT organization of the consulting firm. Could also be a dinner. Could take any form. And also last year, because we have such strong links with these companies, we also actually managed to get some mentors or some buddies to train us for interviews. Right before the day that we would have interviews, they called us to just run us through an interview. So that is actually invaluable to get more experience. So that helped us a lot. A lot of us got really good internships actually because of these links. Then a second thing is another example. We visited the Google offices a couple weeks ago actually, and some people, just because they visited the Google, because they submitted their CV, they got requests to actually be interviewed for internships. While it's known that it's not that easy to get through the Google machine and to actually get to the interview stage for internships or full-time offers. And then a third point is the career fair. It's also something that we launched last year together with the Eurout conference, and it's a career fair. It's an LGBT career fair where we had some of the best companies represented, where they all sent their LGBT employees, but also their HR employees, to also talk to us specifically about what they do in the company to actually make it a very a very good place for LGBT people to work in. The third thing is it's a more broader concept. It's community. So there we have the mentorship program Connect. So what do we mean by mentorship program? That's also something that we launched last year. It's actually to match up students with alumni or friends of the club, let's say, but much more senior people. And we try to find a match between the students' aspirations and the experience of the senior professionals. So this is something we started. This has been very successful. We have a lot of positive feedback about this program. The mentee this is basically for example, this webinar is an example of our focus on admissions. So we want to help students to get a good idea about how it is to be LGBT at London Business School. We also, for instance, went to LGBT MBA admission fairs, and we also try to help the school because we feel that this is probably the most important lever to actually make the school an even better place for LGBT people. So this year we specifically created a Straight Ally Week in which we will partly organize events that are all our events are of course always open for straight people, but these will be just specifically also focused on our straight allies. So we will organize film screenings. I think it's also during the week that we will do the Eurovision and LGBT issues. So that's also something that is becoming much more important in the club. Just a couple of illustrations, a couple of pictures about the social events, just to give you an idea. So on the right-hand side, you can see Peter Johnson, who actually kicked off the webinar. In the left bottom corner, you can see the jelly shots that we served during Tattoo, which is let's say the biggest event at LBS focused on celebrating diversity. So we're also very present on campus. Then to give you an idea about our professional contacts, so these are the main companies or the main networks where we actually have a very good relationship with. So Bain & Company, McKinsey & Company, Google, American Express, BCG, AD Carney, but also Medallia, the Harvard LGBT alumni, pictures that was taken during Admits weekend. In the middle, you can see our Out in Business bracelet, which was handed out to all students actually to show that that they support LGBT diversity. On the right-hand side, you can see me with an alumni, and then Ty. Ty is the other co-president. Then I want to also talk about the EuroOut conference, which is the most important event that we organize and one of the most important events also at London Business School. To give you a short overview, so the EuroOut conference was organized the first time in EuroOut 2012 was also main sponsor was also BCG, but we also had keynotes by the CIO of Barclays, panels with representatives from BCG, Accenture, and Morgan Stanley, and also 10 students from 7 other business schools. And then EuroOut 2013, that's the first conference that I attended that I also co-organized. We had more than 100 participants, and we also had very influential keynotes. So we had two people out of the Financial Times top 50 outstanding in business. So Claudia Bryn-Woody of IBM, she's a vice president, and then Marianne Rolling from Microsoft. We also had more students from more different business schools represented. And also, like one other fact, it was elected being the best LBS event out of, I don't know, I think around 50 events organized at London Business School. So the best event purely based on the feedback that we got from all the people that attended the event. This conference actually also, for me personally, it also inspired me, and it also made me realize that we all have some kind of responsibility to do something for the LGBT community, and it also encouraged me to actually take a more prominent role in the Out in Business Club. So then to actually come to the EuroOut 2014 conference, which is probably the best example or the best way to explain what the next conference might look like, we had very senior, very influential LGBT professionals providing keynotes. So number one picture, you can see Liz Bingham. She's a managing partner at EY. Then second is Lord Brown, who is the former CEO of BP. Then the third picture, you can see the panel with five very senior professionals as well, and also one of our professors, Dominic Holder, who moderated this panel. But you can also see Antonio Simoes, who is also depicted on picture 4, Neil Bentley, Susan Eastoe, and Lord Brown finally as well. Also important to say is that EuroOut 2014 was sold out. We had more than 150 participants. So the conference is really increasing in size. Reputation is also getting better. So we have a really good outlook for 2015 as well. Then also to show a little bit that EuroOut is also very present in the press. This is also because the school supported this very much to reach out to press. So we had different articles that were published around EuroOut, or articles that mention EuroOut in Gay Star News, in Fast Company, and also in Poets and Quants. And then finally about EuroOut conference, and this is very important and very critical, I think. This is something that the school supports very much, and this can be seen, or you can see it in very different ways. So on the one hand, Sir Andrew Lickerman, the Dean of London Business School, he opened the career fair, and he also provided a video message for all the attendants on Saturday, on the main day of the conference. But also Dominic Holder, who is one of the professors at LBS, was one of the moderators of our panels, together with two other professors. So that's also a huge support that we got from the professors. Then also Gareth Howells opened the conference, so Gareth is the executive director for the full-time MBA and the Masters in Finance program at London Business School. And finally, we also receive a huge amount of support from Student Activities, which is a cell within LBS that supports all student clubs and student activities and events. But also Career Services helped us with setting up the career fair, and also staff like Peter Johnson helps us to reach out to the different departments of the school to actually get things done. Then to close off, to finalize the presentation, I just want to give you a quick overview of how it is to be LGBT in London. For some of you might have never been to London, to convince you to come to London and study here. So there are great clubs, as you can see. Some people might have heard about Heaven, but you also have a lot of universities that have very strong LGBT networks, and the National Student Pride is one of the results of the collaboration between all these student clubs. Then you also have a lot of professional LGBT networks. Outstanding is one of them. outstanding is probably one of the strongest one. And we also have a very good relationship with them because there are a lot of synergies between what they do and what we do. You also have interbank, but also if you look at the LGBT networks at some of the most wanted companies such as Google, Bain, McKinsey, BCG, you see that the gravity point of their LGBT networks is in London. So that's also very important, I think, to show that London is a great place to be LGBT. And then finally, you can see a picture of Soho, which is more or less the gay village in London. Then also to finalize, I just want to give you a couple of links to connect with us. So you see our email address. So if you have any questions after this webinar, if you have any questions for me or for anyone else that attends the panel, feel free to send an email to oib@london.edu. Then you can also check our club page, or you might have already done that. So our club page, where you can see the events, where you can see a bit more about the members. So I would for sure advise you to take a look. Then you have the UROUT Facebook page. There you can see a little bit more about UROUT, and also our UROUT website. So if you want to know more about the conference, about the keynote speakers that we had, the website is a very good source. You can also see a movie where you can see a summary of all the key messages of the conference in 2013. And soon we will have a video about the 2014 conference as well. Then now I will start the Q&A session. So we will start answering the questions that you have asked us.
That's great, Thomas. I think that's a really good overview of LGBT, LBS, the activities of Out in Business. Can I say thank you for everybody who's logged on and taking part. It's great to see a few of you have typed questions already, but keep on typing your questions and we'll take as many of them as we can in the next half hour or so. But my first question here is for Thomas, is really what for you was the takeaway? What was the major message of UROUT this year?
So one of the major takeaways, actually for my first UROUT conference, was that it's very important that you can be yourself in the workplace. And it was actually, I always used to think that being out in the workplace is not that important. It's not an important, your LGBT identity. For me, I didn't consider it a big part of my personality. But actually the UROUT conference made me realize that although it might not be a big part of your identity, if you're not disclosing it to your clients or to your colleagues, it becomes something that starts to take energy. People will also notice that you are walking around some of the questions that they ask you, and people might get a little bit suspicious about things, and it will actually hinder you in building trust relations with people. And that is something that I really realized that by coming to the UROUT conference. And it's also something that made me realize that I never want to work again in an environment where I don't feel like I can be my true self, because I think it's really a waste of energy, of happiness if you cannot be your full self, and if you cannot be the most productive version of yourself.
Okay, so we're going to now involve the rest of the panel, and I'm going to get Daniel to speak first. So Daniel, can you give us a bit about your background? And question for you, have you felt uncomfortable when you came, so when they found out that you're gay?
Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Aragon. I come from Colombia, which you would say is a more conservative culture. I'm in the Masters in Finance program, and regarding Peter's question, well, I think this is a very open environment, and this is a great opportunity to be out and to experiment what it is, because in my personal background, I hadn't done it before. Um, if I found something uncomfortable, maybe I found out about some comments that people make when they're curious and they just didn't know you were gay, because you usually don't walk around wearing a rainbow flag. But people are in general very open. The admission process, I think, takes care of selecting people that are willing to learn from others and that are embracing diversity and in general, yeah, open and more international.
And just a quick follow-up on that, Daniel. How would you manage coming out to your classmates? What do you think is the best strategy for approaching being out in an environment like this?
Okay, so the way I did it at first, I made a small trial with my study group. When you start at LBS, the program office forms study groups of around 5 people. And I started mentioning my boyfriend, just dropping some comments about it, and I found it was very easy to do. I didn't find any shocks or uh, bad things about it. Uh, when I found this out, I was starting to enroll much more with the or engage with the OIB club, and when I wanted to be out to everyone, I started promoting the Eura conference to my colleagues, and then in the end, I was advertising through the Masters in Finance channels, the conference. I thought it was very easy. Also, the setup, as Thomas was saying, being in London, being in Europe, which is much more open and people just don't judge. So I would recommend that you that you challenge yourself, and it's the great opportunity to do it, and you will experience that you can overcome many insecurities. I think it has happened to me.
That's great, Daniel. So I'm now going to hand over to Kirsten. So again, Kirsten, if you can give a brief introduction and maybe say a bit about the Sloan program as well, because that may not be as familiar as our MBA to people who are listening in today. And then can you go on and tell us a bit about mentoring and the kind of support you feel you've got at London Business School?
Hello, everybody. My name is Kirsten Zarina. I'm a Sloan 2015. Sloan is a special management program that is run for extremely experienced people, so people who have around about 18 years of experience or more. I come from a tech and banking background. And in regards to mentoring and support, I actually think that's one of the reasons why, if you are LGBT, this is the place that you need to go. There is just nothing else to compare it to. The services and the support that you get out of Out in Business is like nothing else you'll ever see. It's incredibly strong, probably the strongest of all of the clubs at LBS. I'm a member of, I think, something like 47 clubs here. And Out in Business is probably the one in which I've seen the most activity amongst the members, The conference like you're out that you heard about before is just utterly amazing. It is specifically designed to actually show you how to succeed in business. And the if you're looking for a university, this is the one.
That's fantastic, Kirsten. Thanks for that. And I'm now going to pass a question for Jonathan, the final member of our Q&A panel. Jonathan, are you going to come out to your employer post-LBS?
Hi, everyone. So like Peter mentioned, my name is Jonathan. I'm part of the MBA 2015 class, and I'm originally American Colombian. Unlike Daniel, I think my story is a little bit different because I came out when I was 18. I grew up in New York and I went to school in Massachusetts, so I come from a very fairly liberal background. I never thought the need to join any of the clubs in university that were similar to Out in Business. And then when I went to my employer, I also didn't find that it was necessary to come out to them. I went to work for McKinsey in the New York office right after university, and then got assigned a project in Jamaica, where, as some of you may know, is not the best place to be gay. That's essentially when I found out that having a support network within your employer is one of the most important things that you can have in order, as a gay man and as a part of the LGBT community, to know how to handle certain situations that aren't going to be as natural for you. So when I was in Jamaica and I had to be facing clients every day, some of them who were opposed to homosexuality, actively and politically participating in laws and policies that were against my personal beliefs, I found it very uncomfortable to be there. And it was by joining GLAM, which stands for Gays and Lesbians at McKinsey, that I found a support group that answered all those questions and that helped me manage being in that project. What I found after becoming a member there was that I felt comfortable going to other offices. I then transferred to the Bogota office, and I was the only member of GLAM in South America for some time. And now that I'm at LBS, I found it very important to be part of the Out in Business Club, mostly to be able to share that experience with people and to some of you and say, coming out to your employer, it's just part of the process. How Out in Business helps you make it easier is that before, as you're doing the recruitment process, our professional contacts here are part of these networks, and they know how to handle discretion. So whether or not you're comfortable being out to everyone or being out to just one person, they know how to answer and field all those questions. So in your coming out process, you feel completely comfortable. But it's going to be, I think, to your benefit as a professional to be out to your employer, and the ones that we have recruiting here are completely open to you being gay.
Great, thank you for that, Jonathan. I'm going to pass another question for Kirsten here. Kirsten, can you tell us a bit about engagement with alumni and how that worked for you?
Hello again, everyone. So as I think I was hopefully making really clear before, this is absolutely the place that you need to study. Additionally, on top of the external networks, there's strong connections with the alumni here as well. And I think as most of us build up our management experience, you'll find that tapping into the experience of other people who've been there before you is incredibly valuable. You'll be able to respond so much faster when you face challenging situations in the workplace. And additionally, I personally believe that managers who have their own experiences with being inside a minority, for example, members of the LGBT group, are better managers. You're already starting to think about different ideas. You're already open to new suggestions. By default, you're already at a different level. And those alumni can help take you even further. It's really great for your career to take advantage of the opportunities that you're able to get here.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Kirsten. Well, we've reached an end of all the questions that have been typed in today. So I'm going to finally pass back to Thomas to wrap up the session.
So back to me. So thank you for attending this this first LGBT webinar. We will email the transcript to all of you. Then also very important, or last thing actually I want to say, so we also provided the links to the website and to our email address. So if you have any other question for any of us, please send us an email, and we'll sure be